I've got to do the news!
Do you know these tits, Errol?
I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as stupid as these two.
Good evening, Brew Crew. Solidari-Tea. Hope you're all well. Thank you very much for choosing to wet your whistle with us this Wednesday on the Brews at 10, where we love to bring you literal lashings of luscious literation. Yeah, let's brew this thing. Sora May and Shouty Bloke, nice to see you in chat. Doc Davies is here as well, and Peasants Revolt. Hope you're all well. I'm your humble host, Lefty, by the way. And if it's your first time checking out one of our live streams, thanks a lot for doing so, and welcome. And please make sure that you hit thumbs up on the stream as you join us, whether it's your first time or you've been with us for a while. Thanks very much, everybody. We do have a poll as well. Very straightforward. Who do you think will get the most votes in the by-election in Makerfield? The Tories, Lib Dem, or Count Binface, the leader of the Recyclons? I genuinely think he could pip one or both of them, but what do you think? We will be taking a look at the latest polling from Makerfield, after PMQs, of course, it being a Wednesday. PMQs will be the bulk of the stream, with Keith's catchphrases once again. A few tweaks and updates here and there. You'll see more about that as we go through the stream. We'll also be keeping up with the latest in Belfast. Just before I came to you on stream this evening, there were confrontations between the police and the far-right dickheads out on the streets of Belfast. Now the detention's been turned away from Southampton, although these small vigil tribute thing, you can't really call them vigils. Small far-right demonstrations taking place very small. If you've seen our recent video where we showed one where they numbered no more than 3, which I think we actually played the clip of on a stream before. But now it's all this, of course, in Belfast. It's atrocious, really is. We had the Southport thing a couple of years ago, various other incidents here and there in between, but now this. Something has to be done about it. That is the far-right goons taking to the streets. I'm all for people's right to legitimate protest, but this is absolute hooliganism, really. So we'll be taking a dive into that as well. A comedy clip or two along the way, and as well as the Makerfield poll, which will feature in a very short episode of Hot Seats, but an episode nonetheless. And we'll take a look at some other polls, one of which is another reason to feel positive with everything that's going on in the world, or indeed just in the UK. We'll see what else comes up as we stream. Have you hit thumbs up yet, people? Make sure that you do. And then we'll get on with it.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Okay, gonna get on with it. Time for the customary shout out to all of the members on the channel. What's that? Sorry, our producer's trying to get my attention. A what? Special guest? Apparently, right? Apparently we've got a special guest to introduce the members roster. This is quite spontaneous and something we've never done before on the channel. Who is it? You're gonna have to write it down. Can't lip read from that far. What, for real? Okay. Apparently we've got John Lennon, the John Lennon from the Plastic Ono Band, famously. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay then. For the first time ever, someone else is gonna here. Oh my goodness! Here he is. Actually, wow. Incredible. Here he is. It looks pretty good for a man in his 80s, I have to say. Sure, take a seat. Well, I'm gonna have to take the opportunity to maybe ask John a few questions. I'll get the camera set up for this one, actually, the webcam, and yeah, if John, if you don't mind just leaning over into the mic and introducing the members roster first, and then we'll do a bit of an interview. Excellent stuff.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Excellent, thanks, John. Yeah, take a seat. Yeah, she can as well, I suppose. Bloody hell, she's here as well. You know what I'm talking about. Try not to make it too awkward. Anyway, thank you very much, members. Nice to see a few members in the chats as well. Graham Turner just joining us as well. Solidari-Tea, Viva Viva Palestina. Yes, however you choose to support the channel, whether it's with a membership, super chats, super stickers, super thanks, or the Buy Me a Coffee page. We do appreciate all the support. You'll find the link for the Buy Me a Coffee page in the description of any content on the channel. Please do check out our most recent video from yesterday and contribute some hype points if you would, please. Open that video up on a mobile device. That's a mobile device. Hit thumbs up and it should prompt you to give some hype points, and you say, "You bet your socialist arse I would." Thanks again, members. So, this is quite incredible. I was told on what I thought was pretty good authority that you'd been deceased for some time, Mr. Lennon. Apologies, this is somewhat embarrassing, but I'm going to take the opportunity. Nonetheless, of course, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so let's get this camera set. There we go. Looks alright, just light balance. Yep, good. And first of all, John, I guess I'd like to know, the world, in fact, would like to know what you think about the current state of the planet and the people who are running the world at the moment.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know, and I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line. But I expressed it differently all through my life.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time. But now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know.
Incredible.
I think...
Thanks, Phil, for providing the piano in the background, and John for providing your own subtitles. Completely wholeheartedly agree with that point. But I guess I can't really think of anything else that I or anybody else in the world would like to ask you. So I guess that's it from John Lennon. John, surprise guest. Incredible stuff here on the Brews at 10. Keeping it serious though, we're going to go into the first comedy clip of the evening. No, seriously though, this is a channel, if you're not familiar, all about politics and society from a left-wing point of view. We will get into the serious stuff in a moment, but this is the latest from the Exploding Heads, who are going to take a bit of a swipe at Keir Starmer and the World Cup as well, which begins tomorrow in the United States of America. Boo! And Mexico and Canada. I know we do have them. I'm referring to Trump, of course, the government of America. I know the people of America. The vast majority of them are fine folk. In fact, we have people like Peasants' Revolts from across the pond who view regularly. So, Solidari-Tea, everybody from the States. But apologies, we are going to have to boycott the games in the States. Hope you don't mind that. Possibly all of it. Possibly check out some of the ones in Mexico just to piss Trump off. I guess the games in Canada would have the same application as well. So, yeah, it's the Exploding Heads, and once again, Colin from Portsmouth has a bit of a gripe. Let's see what's happening.
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line. Colin, are you excited for the World Cup?
I'm disgusted, Anthony. Absolutely
Right.
disgusted. Keir bloody Starmer, he's ruined this World Cup.
He's ruined the World Cup. What's he done now, Colin? What's he done to...
He's not letting us watch England games until 9 p.m. Honestly, it's the nanny state gone mad.
What do you mean, Colin?
America are letting their citizens watch the England games in the afternoon, and they don't
Right.
even like football. But
Yeah.
Starmer's not letting us watch them until the night time. Yet another thing in this country he's got his iron fist around.
I think that's time zones, isn't it?
Well, if America's 8 hours behind, why can't they just catch us up?
Well, that's not how time works, Colin.
Wrong, Keir. Worried that we'll hear some players say some hurty words, so you need to wait until after the watershed? This country's gone soft.
Well, maybe he's not letting anyone see an England flag until the kids have gone to bed because it's so offensive to see one.
J.D. Vance, he had it right. Our civilization is crumbling. Rupert Lowe wouldn't let this happen. He owned Southampton, and that turned out all right.
It did. Well, look at this, Colin. You're not going to believe this. It's even worse for the Scots. They can't watch their games until 2 a.m.
Well, that's the SNP for you, Anthony.
It is,
Totally
yeah.
inept. I, for one, cannot wait
It's probably Nicola Sturgeon's fault, yeah, isn't it?
until Britain is ruled by America.
Absolutely.
Then we'll finally get our country back.
Yeah.
Anyway, mate, thanks for having me on. Love to the family.
Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family. You watching the games then?
Nah, don't like football
No.
much. I'm from Portsmouth.
Oh, great. Anyone not from the UK, Portsmouth used to have a football club. They went into administration, liquidation, receivership, whatever. They exist no longer. Some time ago. Yeah. Great stuff from the Exploding Heads. There's a link in the description. Go and subscribe to the YouTube and check out more content. Do always like to hear from Colin from Portsmouth, but that does just briefly bring us on to matters of the World Cup. Of course, so much corruption, so much scandal surrounding this now. Again, solidarity with Americans. We're only having a dig at the government here, but it's been an absolutely atrocious shit show, if you'll pardon the pun, of the first division. So, for example, we've seen Senegalese players being searched. Here's a picture. Being searched. Some of these Senegalese guys play in the top leagues in the world. Some of them have made millions of pounds out of their careers, and they essentially, because of the colour of their skin, being treated like common drug mules. Let's be honest. There's more though. And where to begin? The Sudanese referee who was denied a visa, and in fact has returned home to a massive greeting from the people where he lives, which was great to see. But it wasn't just those teams. Also, shortly before we came on to stream, following, 11 of the Iranian players, the backroom staff, not the players, apologies. 11 of the backroom staff were denied visas. FIFA, under influence from probably a certain orange person, have essentially cancelled all of the Iranian fans' tickets for the World Cup, meaning none of them can attend. Some of them might have been looking forward to this for some time, all politics aside. And yeah, that's just the beginning of the state of affairs. We could be here all evening discussing the corruption that's in FIFA itself, not just with the current leaders. It goes way, way back. Former President Sepp Blatter, of course, mired in controversy. And since then, we were told it was all going to be cleaned up, and that's absolute bollocks. Yeah, so solidarity with the team from Senegal, solidarity with the Sudanese referee, and solidarity with the Iran team as well. It's incredible. World Cup, more like world corruption. We're going to work on the graphic. I quite like it though, the old school 2-bit. But that's it, and we're going to be keeping up with the corruption that's endemic in this FIFA World Cup as it goes on for the next couple of weeks, starting tomorrow in Mexico. Right, let's get back to business. Keith's catchphrases coming up.
Hello.
And do make sure you've hit thumbs up and voted in the poll, please, if you've just joined us on stream. Before we go to Keith's I'll do that line again. It was all going so well. Before we go into Keith's catchphrases, we'll take a quick look at the poll. And a lot of support for Count Binface there. That's really great to see. 75% of the vote at the moment. The remaining 25 all goes to Lib Dem with absolutely sweet upkiss, bugger all, 0, niente for the Tories. we'll see how it looks in the polls after we've done the latest Keith's Catchphrases, PMQs. Let's get straight into it. Let's go through this. Just a very quick reminder, this is a first time watch for me, although I'm aware of one or two people who made an appearance and passed certain comments, but outside of those that I've seen on thumbnails and things like that. It's completely new to me, so no spoilers in the chat, please, as I add commentary in my own particular kind of
Idiom, sir?
idiom. Here we come, Keith.
Oh, no.
It's a quality item, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, people, what's this all about for anybody who doesn't know a thing about Keith's Catchphrases? I will very quickly go through the rules, etc. We pit two words or phrases against one another and basically keep accounts as we go through PMQs, keep score. And there's a few rules to follow as well. Just very quickly, with Keith's Catchphrases, the contending phrases in the main game must be spoken by Keir Starmer himself. It's also a winner stays on format because we do have a league which is made up of 10 contenders. So it's winner stays on unless all the others have been played, and we do have one of those scenarios this evening, in fact. Not defending champion, but defending winner from last week. Deliver and Postman Swat have but one opponent still to play. That will be revealed in just a moment who that is. But the third rule, slight variations, permutations are allowed. For example, past tenses, pluralisation, that kind of thing. I'll be the judge of what counts or doesn't. Where the league is concerned, it's 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, and nothing for a loss. These are the current standings. You can see there we do have a champion already, Security having secured the top spot some weeks ago. But Postman Swat in second has but one opponent yet to play. Although even though it's garnered more mentions than the champion, has actually drawn one and lost one. So means that they can't catch up. They'd just be one behind though on 23. It would have been a close run thing. That is, if Postman Swat in second is victorious this eve. So then that means after this week we'll be swapping both of the contenders, and currently in third place is Change, fourth is Budget, fifth is Clear, and into the bottom half Plan in sixth, who's the only one with any points at all, with 4. Then Deal, followed by Fix, Black Hole, and finally tonight's challenger, Inheritance. So we'll see how many times Inheritance is mentioned compared to Deliver. Right, we'll get into proceedings. That's all pretty straightforward, unless anybody's got any questions, in which case post them in the chats. I'll try and keep up with the chat. Please do bear in mind, though, people, I have to keep an ear out for the phrases, as well as keeping my left eye on what's happening in the chamber and passing comments. It's a multi-sensory experience here on the Brews at 10. Right, so without further ado, we'll get into things. There you can see Postman Swats with deliver at the top. In fact, I'll just quickly see the... So there he is. You'll see that when he comes up. And there's inheritance as well. You'll hear this noise, which I'll just turn up a little. You'll hear that noise anytime any of them get mentioned. There is also, people, secret hidden feature, a secret hidden word, which I think has a good chance of coming up. It doesn't count in the league or anything like that. It's just a separate bit of fun. And that word can be said by anybody apart from Keir Starmer, just to add a spicy extra feature to the show. It's tremendously exciting. I'm sure you'll all agree. Speaking of which...
Down with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
Okay, let's go then. Are we ready, Lindsay? He's ready.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I know the thoughts of the House will be those affected by the events in Belfast this week.
Well, crikey, that was pretty quick.
Hidden feature unlocked. Hidden feature unlocked. Please try to remain calm during this extraordinary event.
Well, straight away, the hidden feature is unlocked, and we've never had that happen so quickly before. It's all go already at the start of the session, so that's Belfast is the hidden word or phrase that can be spoken by anybody apart from Starmer. There we go, gets its own little corner there, so you'll see Belfast every time it's mentioned. That's one. Let's count the first score of the evening. Not 12. 1. Okay, off we go. That was quick. Very quick.
I should inform the House that charges have been brought against a man following the attack on Monday night. That case is now sub judice. It is possible that other charges may be brought, including respect of events in Belfast in the aftermath.
And another.
I am granting a full waiver to allow members to discuss wider issues raised in the context of this incident. However, I must urge members in the strongest terms not to discuss the details of any individual case. This includes not discussing any motive or the guilt or innocence of any individual. Members should avoid wider speculation that comes with prejudicial in any future criminal trials. We now come to Prime Minister's questions. I call Melanie Ward.
Question number 1, please, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday to you.
Oh, fuck off, You've had a shit day. Ha. Ha 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 ha.
Thank you, Mr.
You've had to go to work on your birthday, Lindsay Hoyle, and spend your day with all of these absolutely vacuous twats, bar as many as you could count on your bloody fingers. Yes. Have an absolutely awful birthday, Lindsay Hoyle, you spluttering, muttering bastard. Don't have too many more of them either.
Speaker, last week I noted the helicopter crash in Devon, and I want to put on record our sincere condolences to the families of Lieutenant Commander Chris Gayson, Lieutenant Lily Mae Fisher, and Petty Officer Owen Green. Our thoughts are with their families at this tragic time. Mr. Speaker, I also send my condolences to the family of Michael Story. Michael worked as a driver in Number 10 for over 2 decades. He was a remarkable gentleman, held in the highest regard by all that knew him, and will be deeply missed. Mr. Speaker, people are rightly sickened by the horrific attack on Monday night in North Belfast. As you have just said, the man arrested has been in court in Belfast this morning and charged. I want to thank the Police Service of Northern Ireland and other first responders and members of the public who responded with such bravery. and our thoughts are with the victim. But let me be clear, Mr. Speaker. The acts of violence and arson that followed are totally unjustified. This morning I spoke with the First Minister, the Deputy First Minister and the Chief Constable. And the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland is meeting leaders in Belfast today. We are united in calling for calm and determined to restore order, support the police and all those on the front line, and ensure that justice is done.
I'd just like to point out, I think it's quite conveniently, air quotes, I don't think Farage himself is in attendance, or was in attendance, this morning in PMQs, because he did a live stream from Makerfield, apparently. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he might be. I'm not certain. Of course, I've not seen this before. But if you're wondering why there isn't a cutaway shot to the Furage, then it's probably going to be for that reason.
On a lighter note, Mr. Speaker, as the World Cup gets underway, I'd like to wish the best of luck to both Scotland and England.
Well, corruption. Boycott.
And I too would like to wish you happy birthday. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Melanie Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let me associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the situation in Northern Ireland and about the Scottish football team.
Oh, isn't it tremendous? You see, she didn't say England, she just exclusively said, oh, it isn't a tremendous, tremendous amount of fun here in the House of Commons, isn't it? Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, the existence of Israeli settlements and settler violence against Palestinians is a major and deliberate impediment to peace. By working with Israeli human rights researchers, I have uncovered 32 British charities which are funneling money to Israeli settlements on Palestinian land.
Shame.
Last week, I submitted a formal complaint to the Charity Commission about them. In the last 5 years, they've sent over £28 million to illegal settlements, with a likely taxpayer subsidy through gift aid of more than £5 million.
That's appalling. That's disgusting. I'm glad that this issue is being raised so early on.
Our constituents will be appalled by this. Does the Prime Minister agree that funneling money to Israeli settlements is extremist activity, not charitable activity?
Yeah, Keith, because even though you'll never, ever mention it, the Prime Minister of Israel is actually a wanted international war criminal. You brill cream fuck.
And will he be clear that it is banned?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend? Settlements are a flagrant breach of international law. And no, you...
all of a sudden, you know, get your smelling salts out, people. All of a sudden he knows what international law is. And I'm looking at you as well, Lammy. I'm looking right at both of you. The lady behind Keir Starmer this week is not wearing the game of Twister. It appears to be something else.
UK charities should be supporting them. And the Middle East Minister met the Charity Commission today to discuss these concerns. We announced yesterday further sanctions.
Do you condemn Zionism? Do you condemn the IDF, Keir Starmer?
Against those who support settler violence, and we will continue to look at strengthening those sanctions. British businesses should have no economic...
Full sanctions, full boycott, divestments, everything, the whole lot. Lock, stock, the fucking lots.
...involvement in illegal settlements. And let me just say, the situation across Palestine remains desperate, and the UK will continue to lead efforts to prevent human suffering and get aid in and preserve the...
Is that why you're spying on Palestinians at the behest of Israel from RAF Akatiri? Really, is it?
...viability of a two-state solution.
Leader of the Opposition, Kevin Bent.
Yeah! So remember, people, she gets 6 questions, but generally only ever asks 1 over and over and over and over and over again.
Mr. Speaker, can I also wish England and Scotland the very best in the World Cup? Can I wish you a very happy birthday, Mr. Speaker? Many happy returns. And may I take the opportunity to associate myself with the remarks that the Prime Minister made about the helicopter crash. Our condolences to their family and, of course, to the family of Michael Story as well. Can I also thank him for his short statement on Belfast? The scenes in Belfast are deeply, deeply disturbing. A man is in hospital after a brutal attack, and now families are frightened after a night of violence. There is a live criminal case, so we must be careful about what we say. But we can be clear about this. People have a right to be angry. I am angry. And people have the right to expect their politicians to secure our borders. But no one has a right to burn families out of their homes or to burn public property and attack the police.
Well, before that, first of all, the douchebag to your left as we look has a white t-shirt on, so we can't see the score. Belfast, it is 3, by the way, just so that you know. But also, what are you trying to do here? Because obviously we've seen these pockets of anti-immigration, far-right demos sprouting up across the country in response to what happened in Southampton. Of course, that incident was carried out by a British man who was born here, as was his father. And now there's this, and if anything, you're stoking up the tension by making these spurious links with immigration. And, oh, well, this one outlying, very extraordinarily rare incident now completely changes the entire thing, and we've got to relook at migration and things now. You're just singing to Nigel Farage's tune in his absence.
We all have a duty to stand up for public safety in every way. Mr. Speaker, last night, America carried out strikes on Iran in response to the downing of a US helicopter. This comes just days after renewed attacks on Ukraine. The world is getting more dangerous, and the British public want to know this government is doing everything it can to protect our national security. So can the Prime Minister tell the House, will the full defence investment plan
Mr. Jarrett, good evening.
be published this week?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I agree with her that in relation to both Iran and Ukraine, we're facing a more volatile world than at any time during our lifetimes. Mr. Speaker, so far as defence is concerned, we've already taken a number of measures. We've increased defence spending from 2.3% to 2.6% in 2027. That's spending £270 billion over this Parliament. We've carried out a strategic review of defence.
Well, you're trying to convince the world that Russia's going to invade Europe before, well, 2030, I think he said, in the next 4 years, when they're currently severely struggling to get through Ukraine, which they can't, Ukraine's kind of in the way somewhat, should they want to invade the rest of Europe. So what's happening with all this money? Is it just fueling these private defence contracts in the industrial military complex? Oh no, I've said the quiet part out loud now, haven't I, Keith? Because that's what's happening with all of this money. To keep us safe from some enemy, air quotes enemy, that isn't trying to invade us is ludicrous, especially when there are 4 million children in poverty in Britain.
And we're committed to publishing the Defence Investment Plan before the NATO summit, which is in just a few weeks' time.
That sounded like a no, Mr. Speaker.
What's a summit? The what summit? Oh, summit. Yeah, I wonder what word he might have accidentally read there in his subconscious.
We have wasted 2 years waiting for the Defence Investment Plan. Projects have been put on hold, and Britain is getting weaker with every passing day. It has been reported that the Chief of the Defence Staff told the Prime Minister that the Ministry of Defence needs an extra £28 billion. Will that requirement be met in full?
Mr. Speaker, we'll set out the defence investment plan. It is the first. It's a
28 billion for what? Or is that just literally a list of armaments, equipment that he thinks that we'd need, and that's the current costs? Or is this the cost of some sort of long-term objective or operation? Because that's a lot of money. What do we need 28 billion for? More specifically, what do we need it to defend ourselves against if you're going to justify not spending this on impoverished families or public investment?
It's a 10-year plan, and it's the first line-by-line review of defence budgets in 18 years. She's wrong to say it's been delayed by 2 years, Mr. Speaker. The Defence Strategic Review was published a year ago. We've been working through the details to make sure that we get this right. We are the government that has increased defence spending from 2.3 to 2.6%. I remind the party opposite, when they came into power, defence spending was 2.5%, and they took it down to 2.3%.
Oh, he's dancing around an inheritance. Let's see if he lands one.
We've taken it up to 2.6%. The defence investment, by 2027, the defence investment plan will be published before NATO. We've already signed 1,400 major defence contracts. 94% of those, Mr. Speaker, are with British businesses. And as the Defence Secretary said, that includes helicopters made in Yeovil, drones in Swindon, armoured vehicles in Telford. And we've also given our armed forces...
To send where? To fight who? Are they going to stay here to defend us from the Norsemen or the fucking Normans or someone?
The biggest pay rise in over 20 years. That's Labour making investment to safeguard our national security.
Mr. Speaker, can I welcome the pay rise to the armed forces?
Right. Another contender mentioned but not participate in the current champion. Of course, security coming up there. But still nothing for Postman Swat and Deliver or Inheritance.
But the Prime Minister says he's increased defence spending. He's not. This year, he's cutting it by £3.5 billion.
She's using half of the questions already on this.
What he's talking about is hopeful increases, which we don't know if he will do because there is still no defence investment plan. At a time that we need leadership, Mr. Speaker, we have total paralysis. It is reported that the Chancellor is only willing to find £13 billion for the dip. At the London Defence Conference last year, the Prime Minister said defence would be the central organising principle of his government. How can that be the case when he's giving the armed forces less than half of the minimum that they need?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we've already increased defence.
I'll skip back slightly. Sorry, you might have noticed the scoreboard gave what's-his-face a monocle for a moment there.
The Prime Minister says he's increased defence spending. He's not. This year, he's cutting it by £3.5 billion. What he's talking about is hopeful increases, which we don't know if he will do because there is still no defence investment plan. At a time that we need leadership, Mr. Speaker, we have total paralysis. It is reported that the Chancellor is only willing to find £13 billion for the dip. At the London Defence Conference last year, the Prime Minister said defence would be the central organising principle of his government.
Oh, nearly. There it is. Nearly caught a monocle.
How
it's another side feature.
Can that be the case when he's giving the armed forces less than half of the minimum
there it
that
is,
they need?
On his left eye.
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we've already increased defence spend. We will spend £270 billion in this Parliament. What did they do on spend?
270 billion? Did I hear 270 billion pounds?
They took it from 2.5%.
For what? For what? What do... Oh yeah, Putin's at the doorstep, isn't he? He's storming through France as we speak. We didn't know that they were going to come through the Ardennes. Jesus Christ. £270 billion.
And they cut it to 2.3%. And we'll take no lectures from them. They sat at the heart of a government that failed our armed services. They cut frigates and destroyers by 25%. They cut mine hunters by 50%. They cut the army from 100,000 down to 72,000.
Are you going to use the army to sort out the illegal settlements that you referred to earlier in Palestine, for example? Because of all the places in the world, you know, it's where the biggest famine is in the world. It's where the biggest genocide is in the world. This is the very core of the world's problems here, one of the main ones, outside of the climate crisis, of course, and the overriding general problems that capitalism brings. But geographically, is that where you're going to put it, where it's most needed? Or is some of it just going to be even more of a bottomless purse for Volodymyr Zelensky?
They missed army recruitment targets every single year for 14 years, and they left morale in the armed forces at an all-time low. So we'll take no lectures from them on defence and security of our country.
Mr. Speaker, we've heard him say this about 100 times.
We've heard you ask the same question 3 times already, out of your 6 questions.
Still no defence investment plan. He is the Prime Minister now, at least I think.
They didn't practice that one very well, did they, before they went? So she gathered a small number of... OK, when I say defence, you come in with investment plan, all at the same time, very loud and in sync. Don't sound like you're tired and or under duress whatsoever. Let's just see that abysmal effort.
Mr. Speaker, we've heard him say this about 100 times. There is still no defence investment plan. He is the Prime Minister now, at least I think he is. Should I be calling Andy Burnham instead to ask these questions? He is the Prime Minister, and the reason that he's dithering is because he doesn't know where the money is coming from. The military is waiting, the bond markets are watching. He has only 3 options.
Unelected bond markets, is it? Is this what it all just funnels down to? Oh, the bond markets won't like this, the bond markets won't like that. As if the judge, jury and executioner of every single law that's made or every single decision in a budget.
Cutting spending, more borrowing, or higher taxes. We know that the Chancellor wants to put up tax to pay for it. Will the Prime Minister rule out raising taxes?
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, she asked the House to simply ignore the last 14 years on their watch. So we may have failed the armed forces, hollowed them out, but please just forget all that and act as if it didn't happen. Well, you can't forget all that, given the damage they did to our armed services. Mr. Speaker, she says forget all that.
He's literally saying every word apart from inheritance or inherited.
I remind the House, when they left office, 47 out of 49 major defence contracts were delayed or over budget. That is what we are fixing. And you can't just scrub away and forget. I know they want to forget the last 14 years in power, so do the British public. That's why they're sitting over there. But, Mr. Speaker, we've increased defence spending. We are going to publish defence investment.
You're doing exactly the same thing as they did, and that's why you're the least popular Prime Minister in history.
Plan, and that will be done before the NATO summit coming up in just a few weeks' time.
Mr. Speaker, I remember when the last government led Europe when we were fighting the war in Ukraine. When Russia invaded, we were ready. We supplied Ukraine with munitions. We increased defence spending. But I wasn't asking him about our record. I asked him if he would rule out tax rises. He did not rule out raising taxes, so tax rises are coming. He can't borrow more because the markets have no confidence in him. The reason the Prime Minister is in this mess is because he maxed out on spending in his first 2 budgets. That's why the benefits bill is set to rise to over £200 billion by the end of the decade. He has things the wrong way round, Mr. Speaker. He has a benefits plan until 2031, but no defence investment plan. Why not just cut welfare?
Mr. Speaker, she talked.
Oh, Tory's going to Tory, aren't they?
Talks of leading the way.
Well, he is going to cut welfare, Kemi.
On Ukraine, and I did pay tribute and do to what the last government did on Ukraine, and we stood with them. We continue to lead the way because it's the United Kingdom and France that are leading the coalition of the willing that have got the military plans together for security guarantees in Ukraine. Equally in Iran, Mr. Speaker, it is the UK government and the French government that have put together the coalition for the reassurance military plans as soon as the Strait of Hormuz is open. That is what we're doing to lead. But Mr.
Strait of Hormuz?
Speaker, we are not going to take lectures on defence from the party opposite after what they did to the armed forces, and nor are we going to take lectures on the economy, which they crashed and we've had to pick up.
Can be better not. Come on.
Mr. Speaker, at a time of increased global instability and tension, war in Europe and the Middle East, he is paralysed, giving the armed forces less than half of the minimum that they need. Tony Blair says cut welfare for defence. Lord Robertson, former NATO Secretary General, he's one of them, says cut welfare for defence.
You know, they are totally delusional, Graham, and it really pains me to see them going on and on about this again with so many British families in poverty. Why aren't you cutting welfare to fund wars around the world? It's just delusional, dystopian garbage.
We all know why he won't cut welfare. It's because he is too weak. Too weak to make a decision, too weak to face down his backbenchers and cut benefits, too weak to stand up for our national security. As the sun sets on his premiership, he is scrabbling around for a legacy. But isn't it the case, Mr. Speaker, that the real legacy will be a bloated welfare state and a weaker armed forces?
Mr. Speaker, when they were in office, they didn't reform welfare or invest in our armed services. So the very choice she puts up, they did. Defence spending went down. Welfare spending went up £88 billion overall on their watch, £33 billion under the shadow chancellor. So, Mr. Speaker, they did neither welfare reform nor did they spend our armed forces. And every week she reminds us why the British public sent them packing, because she ignores what we're turning the country around.
The same reasons you're going to get sent packing.
Growth is up. She doesn't want to talk about that. Interest rates are down. She doesn't want to talk about that. Immigration is down after she cheerleaded for it to go up, and the NHS waiting lists have coming down to the fastest rate for 17 years. I'm going to keep fighting for the people who elected a Labour government and sent us here 2 years ago. People who want to live in a safer world. Parents who want to...
If you look at the statistics, when it comes to countries attacking other countries, we're more likely to find ourselves victim to the United States of America or Israel.
Have a better future for their children, and young people growing up in poverty who deserve a better future. We're investing in this great nation, standing up against those that divide us, a stronger, fairer Britain.
There will be a taxi, and it might be for somebody who didn't request it. Richard Burke.
Thank you, Mr.
Sit down, you birthday twat.
Speaker, I'd like to associate myself with the Prime Minister's comments on the horrific events in Belfast. The co-founder of US tech giant Palantir...
Dickie Bergen's on, Richard Bergen. He's at least semi-alright. There's strong rumours that if Burnham doesn't win the Makerfield by-election, that he'll defect to the Greens along with Clive Lewis. So let's hear what he's going to say. This should... be a bit more refreshing than what we've just been put through. What, about a quarter of an hour's worth of that? Jesus.
Once claimed the NHS makes people sick, but now Palantir is running the NHS's new data platform. The Financial Times has reported that Palantir staff have had unlimited access to identifiable NHS patient data. And also there's deep concerns about Palantir's human rights record in relation to Trump and ICE and Israel's military action in Gaza.
Right.
NHS patient data shouldn't be left in the hands of a US tech giant. The government has an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to end this contract through a break clause next year. Will the government take the opportunity and kick Palantir next year out of our NHS?
Very good, Richard.
Mr. Speaker, as the Health Secretary has said, the existing contract...
That was excellent, wasn't it? You always get good stuff. And to be honest, I would really hope that he does defect to the Greens. I've even been posting on his social media in response to some of the things he's been posting recently. All excellent stuff. It's just that he's inside the vehicle that is the Labour Party, and it's way, way, way beneath him. He's not going to be able to get his ideas through the cabinet. He's not going to be able to get his ideas through Keith either. So, good as always from Richard Byrne.
Contract will be reviewed, as it always is, ahead of the break clause, and data security is always a priority. On the single patient contract, there will be strong cyber security protections, and we will protect this data, like we do with all health data. We're focused on modernising the NHS so patients don't have to repeat themselves and get the care that they need more quickly. Our investment has cut NHS waiting lists, delivered millions of extra appointments, improved A&E and ambulance response time. I'm proud of what we're doing.
And
Sir Ed David, leader of the Liberal Democrats,
finally makes an appearance. Yes, we've got one. We've got one on the main game. It's 1-0 in his final game of the season. To Postman Twat and Deliver takes the lead. Let's just update the score there. There he is. There's your man. 1-0.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the Prime Minister in sending our condolences to the families of those killed in last week's helicopter crash? And can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the horrific knife attack in Belfast? Our thoughts are with the victim and his family. And can I join the Prime Minister in condemning the disorder last night? Mr. Speaker, in Carers Week, can I celebrate the millions of family carers who make huge sacrifices to look after their loved ones? And can I look forward to an England versus Scotland World Cup final? And can I wish you happy birthday, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, as the chaos over the Defence Investment Plan goes on, I'm sure members on all sides were shocked to read yesterday's reports. The government is considering slashing the hospital programme to fund the shortfall. Surely in 21st century Britain, people can expect both a decent local hospital and armed forces that keep them safe. So will the Prime Minister rule out any cuts to the NHS budget to fund defence?
Mr. Speaker.
For quite a few weeks now, we've been absent. That is the cutaway shot to Streeting. It's been absent normally, the other one in the meme there, whenever the NHS is mentioned, but of course, prior to making the leadership challenges, stepped down as Secretary of State for Health.
Wimp! Pervert! Nubbin!
Can I first agree with him about the amazing work of our carers? We will take the necessary measures to defend our country, the first duty of any Prime Minister. We will also take the measures, as we have done, to invest in our public services. And forgive me, I was running a public service when the government that his party were part of was stripping them bare under austerity. So we're really not going to take lectures on austerity from the gentleman opposite.
Well, I was hoping we're going to hear more about defence investment. I would urge the Prime Minister to look at our plans for defence bonds to get £20 billion into defence. But, Mr. Speaker, turning to those horrific scenes in Belfast...
I want to start selling war bonds. Did I hear that correct? You want to start selling war bonds, but you just rebranded them defence bonds? Like, really? And this is even coming from Ed Davey, who's at least supposed to pretend to be somewhat socialist or anti-war, even though, of course, liberals in the British sense are far from that. Yeah. Social Democrats, or Liberal Democrats, in this case, but he's been a bit obvious at this point, pushing for the defence.
Too many times we see the same pattern, an appalling crime that makes us all feel immense pain and anger, and then extremists who exploit that grief and anger to spread hatred and violence, aided and abetted by social media barons like Elon Musk and their divisive algorithms. Does the Prime Minister agree this is not who we are as a country, and that it is not free speech if it's controlled by tech billionaires and their algorithms? So will he crack down properly on platforms like X that are fueling violence?
Speaking of algorithms, wonderful, lovely algorithms, they're really great, fantastic things. Yeah, make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Give us a share on your social media as well. At MyLeftEyeUK is the handle you're looking for on Blue Sky, Twitter and Mastodon. Get algorithming, I guess. Is that a word? Is now. Second attempt.
Violence and hatred.
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we will crack down on anyone who's fueling this division. But it is really important, and I agree with him, we are heading into a very difficult situation in Northern Ireland. As I say, I've spoken to the Chief Constable, the First Minister and Deputy First Minister this morning. They are united in saying we should all be calling for calm. The police are on the front line, and it's our duty as politicians to call for that calm, and nobody who's a politician should be whipping up division and hatred.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Flexible and co-working spaces.
And that more or less confirms that Nigel Farage was not present, otherwise they would have cut away to him, certainly, during that portion. He would have been across in Makerfield up here in the northwest. Sadly, didn't have time to go over and heckle him in person myself.
Play an important role in regenerating town centres like mine in Rochester and Strood. They bring more people to our high streets to spend money in our local shops and support our local economies. But recent case law has put this under threat, with valuation office agency assessments now treating many as single larger businesses. And because of this, many small businesses face not only losing their small business rate relief, but also facing potentially backdated bills of up to 3 years, in some cases costing hundreds of thousands of pounds. So will the Prime Minister please ensure that an urgent political solution...
Well, it's quite simple in terms of solutions. You simply break up monopolies and the amount of control and wealth that a very small amount of companies have, and use that taxation, of course, to support smaller businesses. It's a very simple solution that would only be a political choice not to take.
...is found to this problem.
Can I absolutely recognise the important role that flexible working spaces play in regenerating our high streets? Where the law requires a property to be treated as a single unit, the business rates are paid by the operator, not the individual businesses. I can't speak for every case, but I will make sure that the Treasury Minister...
Keith, you don't need to go on such a convoluted, long, winding answer about this. I've given you a very simple solution. Just go along with that.
Picks up with her as quickly as possible in relation to the particular issue.
Gavin Robb. The department will relate to the review, which will then be reviewed. We'll send that to committee, something.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister in relation to the tragic helicopter crash last week? Mr. Speaker, yesterday I shared my concern that community cohesion stood on the precipice. The North Belfast attack on Monday was medieval. It was sadistic. and it's sadly been viewed by millions in this country. As reprehensible as it was, the outrageous violence, intimidation and community damage carried out last night in my constituency and in other parts of Northern Ireland require the strongest condemnation. It is impossible to share concerns about damage to our British values and then act in a way that tarnishes the very thing we should want to protect.
Well, I know this is a very serious issue. However, I will remind you that the reason it is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is that you're not British. That was just sort of, it's like a pretend thing that was given to pro-union representatives in the north of Ireland. That is, but it wouldn't be, the UK wouldn't exist if Northern Ireland was British. It would just be Britain, wouldn't it?
Government's job, our collective job, is to act, to protect our country and to defend our borders. The Prime Minister knows that the man charged entered our country illegally. He passed through 2 safe countries and attained asylum in record time.
Well, I'm not sure if they're aware of this in the House this morning, but it's since emerged that it was the Conservative Party who granted him a 5-year visa. Anything that they throw around concerning migration, yeah, well, that speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? Complete rank hypocrisy. Even by their own standards, that is, their own anti-immigration stance, as it were. They are the failure.
Will he meet with me urgently to discuss the steps he and his government will take to ensure our values are enforced, that the rule of law in this country sustains, and that he protects and closes the open, porous border between our country and the Irish Republic?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank the Right Honourable Member? And can I particularly thank...
This, the mass of this incident doesn't really concern border control. Again, it's sort of an offshoot of the ridiculous thing about migration being brought up at borders. That is the theme of borders, but just to a lesser extent as well. What's that got to do with it? Is my point.
Him and all leaders in Northern Ireland who have urged calm, particularly before what happened last night. I think in standing together with that common message was very powerful. I thank him and others for what they did in that regard. I'm very happy to meet him and other MPs from Northern Ireland as he requests, and I think we've now identified a slot after Prime Minister's questions when we can do that. It is obviously important that we do at the first opportunity. We are all sickened by this attack, but the scenes of violence and disorder have no justification, and we need to be really clear about that. Of course there are questions that need to be answered, but destroying communities, destroying homes and driving people out of their homes is not and will never be the right way to respond to an attack like this. And I look forward to working with him and others to ensure that we get the calm response and give the police the space that they need to deliver justice.
Was another delivering there, but we're going to go over some of the things that have happened. As you heard, people have had the houses burned down, HMOs were burned down. Well, you can even see in the meme there, buses set on fire. That doesn't count as a score, by the way. I was just showing you the meme. But someone who has scored is Postman Twat and Deliver, who now goes into a 2-0 lead. Okay, Keith. Crack on.
Russia Nora Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the horrific situation in Northern Ireland? Mr. Speaker, the Mildmay Hospital in my constituency, established in 1877, has been a pioneer for HIV and AIDS care since the 1980s. Diana, Princess of Wales, made 17 visits to this unique charitable hospital, breaking through the stigma.
It's Lady Diana, Princess of Wales, actually.
Surrounding HIV and AIDS. Today, Mildmay also provides care for patients with other complex needs, relieving pressure on the NHS, and yet it's at risk of closure because of commissioning issues in the NHS. Ahead of the 30th anniversary of Princess Diana's death next year, will the Prime Minister lend his support to this iconic hospital, which was so close to her heart, so that it can survive and thrive?
I smell a planted question, although it is a perfectly reasonable one. If support for HIV and AIDS victims is or was being cut, that's again absolutely disgusting. But it does sound like a planted question, so.
Minister. Well, can I thank you for raising this? And the Mildmay Hospital is synonymous with extraordinary care and compassion, as she describes. I will make sure that she meets the Health Minister to discuss the concerns that I know she has in relation to it.
Whoever that is this week.
Mr. Speaker, as a person of colour in this House, I'm sure members will agree that I cannot be held accountable for the vile acts of individuals that share my complexion or heritage. However, there are some in this chamber who seek division to further their political ambitions. Individuals who are fueling hate against citizens of our own nation.
And he's not there to answer for himself, conveniently, is he? The Furage. We all know what I'm talking about.
Causing hard-working, upstanding people.
Eunuch Powell.
To be afraid for their safety because of the colour of their skin. Teachers, doctors, nurses which are afraid to go to work. Words have consequences, and with eyes of the nation on us in this moment, what pure cold actions will the Prime Minister take against those inciting violence, perpetrating violence, and, more importantly, support the victims following this brutal attack in Belfast?
All those involved in the violence will face the full force of the law, and quite rightly so. He is absolutely right to describe, as he does, the fear that this...
Oh, Graham, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's a bit quiet in the chat this eve. I think one or two other socialist streamers are streaming. Thanks for sticking with us on My Left Eye, though. We might potentially be reading into one of those channels later on, so stick around. It's good to have a full, rich amount of content providers, but yeah, don't worry about it, Graham. You're not spamming or anything.
This instills in some of our communities, and that is a very real fear. It is being felt today, this hour, in Northern Ireland, by families who are too scared to go about their lawful work, to go to school, and to go about their business. That is exactly what it does, which is why we must all condemn it.
Ms. Twist. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The British Standards Institution is 125 years old this year. And I'm proud to have been working closely with them to produce and publish BS 30480, the world's first free standard on suicide in the workplace. The standard has now been downloaded more than 12,500 times. As we all work towards...
It is a serious issue, but you sometimes get flagged for that particular word.
Reducing the number of people who die by suicide, will the Prime Minister support more workplace adoption of this standard and work with BSI and myself to achieve this?
Can I start by paying tribute to my honourable friend? She's been an outstanding advocate on this issue. I congratulate the BSI on 125 years of vital work. This guidance reminds us that every part of society has a role to play.
The thing is, it's still the biggest killer of men. I think it's now over 35. Perhaps a bit lower in the country. And speaking slightly personally, yeah, I know people who've been victims myself, and there is no doubt that these patterns, this, not to say endemic, but severity, certainly does have its links to capitalism and the capitalist work system. That is, of course, people being overworked, as well as a whole multitude of other problems that don't help, especially where they might already have ongoing mental health issues. Aside from work, it just creates an extra layer of stress. So obviously, I don't know the details of this, as it's just been announced that it's going to be published, but let's hope that it can seriously do something to have a positive impact on people's mental health.
In suicide prevention, and it is really positive that so many businesses are putting it into practice, and I'm pleased to raise awareness of it and to encourage others who've not seen it yet to look closely at it and follow it.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday.
Oh, we don't get Peerage, but we get bloody hell, Tice. Okay, what have you got? What have you got to say for yourself? The ridiculous comments that your party have made and not retracted. In fact, if anything, doubled down on. Are you going to triple down on them now?
We all condemn, of course, the appalling violence in Belfast last night after the horrific attack on Monday.
What, I thought you wanted to see pure cold rage were the very words that Peerage used. Pure cold rage. What a dick. That's 6 for Belfast now. Well, we've got nothing to do with this. No, we just went on TV and said, well, forget what the family have asked for. We want to see rage. And we know what you knuckle draggers are going to go out into the streets and do, because the incident following the stabbing in Southport, Southport, a couple of years ago, are still fresh in our memories.
But this Prime Minister is in denial of the rising despair across the country over his failure to stop the boats and related criminality, his failure to recognise two-tier policing, his failures over Mandelson, his failures over the scourge of anti-Semitism. He's lost the confidence of the country.
Palestinians, as Semites, are you going to say anything about Israel's appalling anti-Semitism, Richard? Or the fact that, of course, the fact that Zionism... Sorry, I was looking at a xenophobe when I said it, that's why. The fact that Zionism is in itself anti-Semitic as well, or are you just going to skip all over those and get on with your usual shit?
Fuck off. You fascist junta!
His own trade union members and his own very quiet backbenchers, Mr. Speaker. When will he do the right thing, and when will this Prime Minister resign?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, last week we had the terrible case of Henry Novak.
We thought, I'll get up, I'll say something fast, sharp and shit, and people will lay the blame elsewhere, not at our feet, where it should lie. And and it's just going to go on, isn't it? And this is all the mainstream media will focus on now as well. I'm going to go on to some cases that get overlooked after PMQs that I'm going to bring up. I almost went into a semi-tangent about that. I'll save that for later. Yeah, but they're the ones who've whipped it all up in the first place, and it's only a matter of time before the next one be on the news, you know. A Brown who might be from abroad has done a crime
which they sought to exploit. Now we have a very difficult situation in Northern Ireland where families and communities are extremely frightened. What do? They try to whip up fear and division, because that's all they've got. and he talks about stopping the boats. Mr. Speaker, when we
And you copied them and said stop the gangs.
passed legislation to help stop the boats, what did? They voted against it. And to take those measures, you need money. And he is still not properly addressed why his companies didn't just aggressively avoid tax, but failed to patch the tax that they legally owed. His investment company then gave huge donations to reform. If he paid his tax with more money to deal with these issues.
Ivan Sampson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday. Last summer, my constituent, Ryan Long, went on his first lad's holiday to Ibiza. On his first night, he made what turned out to be a fatal decision when he took an ecstasy pill and, after falling into a coma, sadly passed away at the age of 18. Since his death, his mum, Angie, working with local charity Open Road, has ploughed her grief into campaigning, fundraising and raising awareness of the dangers of drug use so that no other family has to go through the pain hers has suffered. She joins us in the public gallery today. Will the Prime Minister join me in thanking Angie for her dedicated work, and will he meet with her to discuss ways we can further raise awareness of the danger of drugs in Ryan's name?
Minister. Can I thank him for raising this case? And I think the details of Ryan's case that he has outlined are very hard to hear.
Yeah, and it parallels another famous case, I think it was from back in the 1990s, with a girl who took ecstasy in a club. I'm not sure if that was on holiday or if it was here in the UK. Leanne something, was it? Consequently, she tragically died as well. So if it was in the 90s, which I suspect it was, then quite a lot of time. Yeah, there were massive campaigns when that happened as well. Yeah, just say no, kids.
I have to say, as a father of a 17-year-old boy, I find it particularly hard to hear. And no one.
Leah Bates? Betts or Bates? That, yeah, something like that, I think. There was a very famous picture of her in a hospital bed. Of course, awful picture of her on life support. And yeah, that was all over the story at the time that came with it. And her family then went on to lead a similar campaign. And the thing is, you know, you get these people who go over there just to push pills or whatever, and it could be fucking Persil for all you know.
No mother should have to experience what Angie has experienced. I know she's here with us today, and I'm very much hoping I can meet her immediately after PMQs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, that's awful. 18 years old as well, only 18 years old. Very tragic case.
If any member of the public wishes to visit a major sporting event or major music event, they can expect to be searched on the way in. They bring a bottle of water.
Or if you're in the Senegalese international football team, you might even potentially be a Premier League player, La Liga, Serie A. You'll get searched as well. But I think this is going to be something that I think is a very good point as well. The cash grab from these venues, that is, you can't take anything in, so you have to pay the ludicrous prices hand over fist at the stalls for whatever they've got, instead of being able to take in even water, you know.
Water, the lid will be taken. If they order a drink from the bar, it will be served in a plastic cup. This is done for security reasons. Yet because of exemptions in the Offensive Weapons Act 2019, those same events permit the carrying of blades up to 5 inches long.
Oh, it's actually gone a different direction than I thought it was going to go.
I would just like to ask the Prime Minister, does he recognise the dangers...
is that Jeremy Corbyn? Just peeking his head up over the top there. Oh, one sec. Lost the place. Bear with. Here we are.
Samson!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday.
We will, of course, work with the Sikh community.
Apologies.
Today.
And I'm.
If they order a drink from the bar,
there we go.
It will be served in a plastic cup. This is done for security reasons. Yet because of exemptions in the Offensive Weapons Act 2019, those same events permit the carrying of blades up to 5 inches long. I would just like to ask the Prime Minister, does he recognise the dangers and the risks associated with that? And does he recognise what a solicitor might call an exception, our voters would call two-tier justice?
You can't. Okay, let's just hear what he's
Mr. Speaker, let me just be very clear. Any blade that's used to threaten or to harm others is illegal by law.
Well, I was going to say they're already illegal.
Blade. We will, of course, work with the Sikh community, knife crime campaigners and the police to learn the right lessons. That is the responsible thing to do. And I really do think we all have a...
But I'll also remind you that the sword that was used, and I'm sure he's referring to the Vikram Digwa incident, it wasn't the ceremonial sword used by Sikhs, it was a separate illegal offensive weapon.
Our responsibility, a duty as politicians, to respond to the case that we were discussing last week and the events in Northern Ireland that we're discussing today with the calmness that leadership requires.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Maternity care in North Oxfordshire declined under the previous government, with the loss of consultant-led services at the Horton Hospital, where I was born, and serious failings by the Trust, which are now part of Baroness Amos' inquiry. However, last week, the Care Quality Commission upgraded the Horton Maternity Unit to good. Will the Prime Minister visit the Horton Hospital in Banbury to see the change that this government's £3.3 million investment into that hospital has delivered since July 2024?
Well, I'm pleased that his local maternity services are seeing improvements. We now have a record number of midwives working in the NHS, and we're investing over £150 million to address critical safety risks. There is much more that we need to do, so every mother is listened to and receives outstanding care. The recommendations of the Amos inquiry will be published shortly, and we will act to deliver lasting change.
Tom Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier this year, I found myself in hospital as a result of a flare-up from living with ulcerative colitis. I was bowled away by the support of our local constituents and people who live with inflammatory bowel disease across the country when they got in touch and shared their support. But for people with IBD, care often falls far short of the mark. It can take ages to get a diagnosis. Myself, it took the best part of a decade. And then when you manage to get a diagnosis, the care that comes can come as a postcode lottery. Now, when you're living with a fluctuating and not visible condition, that's already hard enough before navigating those systems. IBD UK Alliance set out what good care looks like with the IBD standard.
Yeah, just before we get on to this other topic, Graham, yeah, that's a good point in the chat about people who use them in occupations. Warehouse operatives, for example, as well, use them to open boxes, and they often have to provide their own, or if they do leave them, they might get stolen or whatever. Yeah, so you've got to consider those things as well. But obviously, in those cases, you wouldn't be going into potentially not straight from work into a stadium venue or something like that, but some people might.
Prime Minister meet with me and clinicians to discuss IBD standards, and will he consider appointing a national clinical lead to drive improvement when it comes to IBD care?
Can I thank him for sharing his personal experience and congratulating him on his achievements at the London Marathon, notwithstanding that. I agree with him that wherever a patient lives, they should receive high-quality, consistent care. Through national improvement programmes like Getting It Right First Time, we are making sure the best practice is shared to drive up standards. But I'm very happy for ministers to give him the details of that in the way that he's raised in his question.
Chris Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and many happy returns to you. And can I take this opportunity, as it is Carers Week, to thank all of the young carers and young adult carers in my constituency of Harlow for all they do all year round. Mr. Speaker, you will know, as a former teacher, I spend a lot of time talking to students, parents and teachers in my constituency of Harlow about the dangers of social media, and they're very concerned that these big tech companies are not taking their responsibility seriously.
Well, this has come up a lot as the member for Harlow in Essex raises here. And bans for under-16s for social media, with countries like Australia having previously implemented them, but apparently they've not been as effective as they'd hoped. It's been a hot topic here in the UK for a while, actually. As before, I'd like to know what people think about this in the chat, particularly if you're a parent. Do let me know.
So can I ask the Prime Minister what he's doing to hold these big tech firms to account to ensure our young people are safe online?
Can I thank him for the great work he's done for decades supporting young carers? Mr. Speaker, we've given tech companies a deadline. Introduce the device-level controls that already exist to prevent children from sending and receiving sexually explicit images, or we will change the law.
And in fact, obviously this big push for AI now that Starmer's doing, as well as Tony pissing Blair, of course, but let's not get distracted. Just back onto this. Yeah, apparently AI is going to tutor, is going to sort of guide young people to make sure that these things don't happen somehow, and we're almost assured that it won't be defective. So yeah, you can all... This is tongue-in-cheek, by the way, just to be clear. Not financial advice, but rush out and lay your money down on the stock markets or in the bookmakers. Because, of course, we're all big stock players here. Multiple portfolios.
With fines for companies or even criminal liability for bosses who fail to comply. Because when it comes to the safety of our children, standing by is not an option, and further steps will follow.
Adrian Ramsey.
Mr. Speaker, a suppressed DEFRA report concluded that without transformational change, our food and water systems are at risk of catastrophic failure from 2030. Another suppressed Joint Intelligence Committee report concluded that...
2030, yeah. As Adrian Ramsey speaking there for the Greens. And that's not very far into the future, is it? Just 4 years into the future. In fact, globally, we'd be looking at severe clean water level shortages as early as 2040. But don't worry, people. There could potentially be societal collapse before then for other eco-societal reasons. Let's hear more from Adrian.
There's a high likelihood of ecosystem collapse, putting food production at risk. Does the Prime Minister recognise that many of us across this House are ready to work collaboratively?
And just to be a bit clearer about that, you're talking about reductions in the amount of food approaching levels like 50%, when you've also got an increasing population, which obviously increases the severity of that reduction per capita. It's not good. I've referred to Bill Maguire's work. His latest book came out recently. Do check that out, as well as his early work, Hothouse, Earth, An Inhabitant's Guide, which I've read. And it is terrifying, but it is the cold hard truth, and he does bring up food shortage as well as water shortage in terms of the fallout, the consequences of this. Something has to... This isn't a, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could do this, it's on your wish list, Well, I guess it's on my wish list, that just want the basic human right of access to clean water. like everybody else does, without being ripped off by private water companies at the same time. The same water companies who literally pour shit into our rivers and streams and seas and oceans.
To address these very urgent challenges, and will he commit to publishing these 2 reports in full?
Prime Minister.
Well, I agree that we must act to protect ecosystems that underpin our food supply and our way of life, and I'm really proud that under this government the UK is back playing a leading part on climate change and restoring nature.
Alison Taylor.
No, you're not.
Peter Murrow, please.
Don't get me started. This is Lefty you're talking to here. No, we're way behind on our legal commitments, even going as far back as the Paris Climate Agreement. That is all I'll say as far as those claims go.
Guilty to embezzling over £400,000 of SNP members' funds. Thousands of pounds were spent on luxury items ranging from a salt and pepper grinder to a new Jaguar to a luxury motorhome. When party figures raised concerns, even resigned, they were silenced and ostracised by those at the very top of the SNP. Does my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, agree that a full investigation into this national scandal needs to be held as a matter of urgency?
Well, Mr. Speaker, these are clearly serious, legitimate questions that deserve answers and scrutiny.
We're terrified of the SNP, who still have a massive lead, despite these revelations about the former leader's spouse coming up recently. So we went through them on a stream ourselves, the £2,000 pepper grinder, the motorhome that was, we're told, hid behind the in-laws' house. Yeah, but doesn't seem to have affected the SNP, which I'm sure John Swinney will be relieved to hear. However, sorry, as well, just before I came on stream, I noticed a healthy lead in several areas as well in some recent polls.
They're not getting. I do think the Scottish Parliament should look at them closely, and I hope they'll listen to the concerns of this House.
Hannah Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, it's time for Hannah Spencer. We've got Hannah Spencer's up. She's one of ours.
Running a business as a plumber, I was well used to dealing with dirty grubbiness. And there's still plenty of that dirty grubbiness behind me. Now, running a business is...
Ho, 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 ho. Ah, nice. That was a sick burn. Plenty of grubbiness behind me.
Damn right!
In reform. Very good.
It's tough. So will the Prime Minister join me in backing That's the Problem campaign
30p Lee looks a bit perturbed.
to cut VAT rates in hospitality? He didn't answer the question last week. Will he tell us today?
And look at what's her face, Sarah. Sorry, it'll come to me in a second. Look at the face.
Yes
Caption that. Caption that.
or no?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very glad that we're cutting VAT over the summer with our summer savings programme that I hope she will support.
Let's just hear that one again. 30p Leather. Yeah. These dirty bastards behind me here.
Well, Mr. Speaker, these...
Here we go.
Plumber, I was well used to dealing with dirty grubbiness. And there's still plenty of that dirty grubbiness behind me. Now, running a business is tough, so will the Prime Minister join me in backing That's the Problem campaign to cut VAT rates in hospitality? He didn't answer the question last week. Will he tell us today, yes or no?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very glad that we're cutting
They got owned.
VAT over the summer with our summer savings programme that I hope she will support.
Porchin, Sarah Porchin.
I do note we haven't heard...
Sorry, it's been a long day.
...much from the Green Party leader after he admitted he hadn't paid his council tax. Perhaps he's traded his houseboat for a submarine.
Paul Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What? Sorry, that one went straight over my head. Probably wasn't going to be a zinger, but let's see that one again.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very glad that we're cutting VAT over the summer with our summer savings programme that I hope she will support. I do note we haven't heard much from the Green Party leader after he admitted he hadn't paid his council tax.
Oh, give over. There were only 2 people on the entire thing that had ever paid any council tax, and Zach Polanski was one of them. Stick that up, you... whatever.
Perhaps he's traded his houseboat for a submarine.
Paul Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ICBs have a statutory obligation to fully fund all essential medicines and pharmacy provision for the delivery of specialist end-of-life and palliative care at our wonderful hospices, such as St Catherine's and Derrien House, situated in our respective constituencies of South Ribble and Chorley. However, this is not happening, as ICBs are claiming the costs are covered by the hospice's core grant. Would the Prime Minister support my private member's bill, St Catherine's Law, that seeks to place an explicit obligation on every ICB to fund all essential medicines and pharmacy provision for all our hospices separately from any core grant they receive from the NHS?
Can I thank him for raising this? And as he knows, integrated care boards are responsible for commissioning palliative care and end-of-life services.
Yeah, if we went through the list of all of the tax avoiders in the House of Commons, then would be for a particularly long time, probably until we had another Prime Minister.
Including hospices, to meet the needs of their area, and that includes decisions on how services are funded, including medicines and pharmacy provisions. I'm happy to talk to him further about it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every time there is heavy rain, Judy Washington's driveway and garden is flooded with raw sewage. The same happens to her neighbour, and it happened last week again. Thames Water have told my office they won't even look at the situation until the end of winter 2027. It is unacceptable that a lady in her retirement is shovelling sewage from her drive and waiting for human waste to decompose in her garden. Will the Prime Minister write to Thames Water on Judy and her neighbours'
And she better have never voted Tory.
behalf to compel them to sort this out?
Well, can I thank him for raising this case? And it's obviously awful. If he will share further details of it with my office, I'll make sure the Water Minister picks it up and acts as quickly as possible.
That is the case, not the sewage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the Prime Minister warned that NATO needs to be ready for an attack by 2030 from Russia. Indeed, we have an increasingly belligerent...
Oh, shit, it's just pure fear-mongering, scaremongering, honestly. Well, I made mention of it earlier in the stream, but let's see more of this question. I'm surprised to see... Well, I'm not surprised. It appears to be veering back towards this defence spending issue that we've heard so much of over the last, well, nearly 40 minutes now. As this comes to a close, this might be the penultimate question, possibly with a 1 or 2 word answer.
Expansionist, imperialist Russian leadership to our east and a Donald Trump US leadership to our west, for whom Ukraine and European security is not a priority. So we need to meet the moment. To his credit, since taking power, the Prime Minister has increased defence spending, but the House of Commons Defence Committee is adamant that we need to reach 3% GDP spend on defence. So when the Prime Minister is signing off on decisions within the Defence Investment Plan, which I hope will be, touch wood, imminently published, will he agree to that 3% GDP spend on defence?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker is right to raise the concerns that we have. We've increased defence spending, and the Defence Investment Plan is going to be set out very soon and before the NATO summit, which, as he knows, in just a few weeks' time.
Final question, Mr. Catch.
Speaker, Lindsay Foreman has not eaten in 32 days, and her husband Craig in 23. They are being held hostage by the terrorist government of Iran, but this government's weak words have abandoned them. So will the Prime Minister stop raising their case and start fighting for them? And he can do that by declaring today in this House that they are arbitrarily detained, something he has refused to do, and refer their case to the International Court of Justice so we get them home.
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for raising this important case and give her the assurance and the House the assurance that this is raised regularly with us. The Foreign Secretary has raised it very recently. We raise it every time we can. We do everything we can in relation to this case.
Yeah, Andy, welcome to the chat. We were saying that earlier, yeah, if Russia has been sort of bogged in the mire 4 years now. As you say, in Ukraine, they're very unlikely to be invading NATO, that is, anytime soon. That is, any NATO country, let alone Britain. Just total fear-mongering.
We are doing everything that we can, as she would expect, as the party opposite would have done in office, and she's right to raise the case.
Let the front benches change over. That completes Pleb's questions.
Wouldn't it be funny if every time he said that, someone actually came in and literally changed the benches? They replaced the benches every single time. So there it was, PMQs, and in his final game as a contender this season, Postman Twat ends with a solid 3-0 victory. Also a healthy 6 mentions of this week's hidden feature, Belfast. Let us know what you thought about the session in the chat. I guess I added my thoughts as we went along. We'll be getting on to one or two other things now, so that will be it for this week's Keith's Catchphrases.
It's a quality item, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, people. No audio? Can you hear me? Check, check. 1, 2. Hope I'm coming through clear. Let me know. I'm staring at the chat precariously. Okay, thank you for the confirmation, Graham. Very quickly, before we proceed, because we're going to get on to the hot seat in Makerfield in a moment or two, but at the moment you're still standing behind Cope Binface in the poll as to who will get the most votes in the by-election between the Tories, Lib Dem and the leader of the Recyclons, 73% now. Slightly lower than when we last checked, but barring any massive surge. It looks as though viewers are going to be getting behind Binface in, well, a week tomorrow. I guess that would be a small recompense as for the likely outcome, anyway. Or the choice between the two leading contenders, that is. So it does bring us on to the poll that I mentioned. This is a projection now. from Servation, and I find this one quite surprising. First of all, Reform have actually narrowed the gap between themselves and Labour, who are now on 46.2, with Reform having gained 8.4, now at 40.2, also further surge than previously predicted for Restore, and unfortunately the Greens down further as well to minus 1.7. It was minus 1 when we saw the last poll, so it does still unfortunately look like a two-horse race. We'll see how Binface does. The Tories and Lib Dem are polling at 1.6 and 1.5 respectively, so that's the latest Servation poll, brought to us from Stats for Lefties. Go and give them a follow. I suppose you could say that Burnham would be marginally, I should say, preferable to Rob Kenyon as an MP, but that doesn't automatically mean that he's going to win any leadership challenge that would inevitably follow, so there might be more drama still to come as a result. It's like being stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea, I guess. But we still want to get behind Sarah Wakefield for the Greens. You know, it could be the most sensationally wrong poll ever. But yeah, it looks the way it looks. So that's pretty much it for the short update on the current hot seat, and we're going to take a look at a couple of other polls in just a moment. Before we do the outro for hot seats, take it away, Vic.
Okay!
We'll keep you updated on hot seats. I've got another two polls to show you. I've structured them in ascending order in terms of positivity. So that one was the worst one. That's the bad news. We got that one out of the way. This one, the Greater Manchester, looks slightly better, although at the moment Reform, unfortunately, currently looks set to get the most seats here in Greater Manchester, with 31% of the votes. It's quite small lettering there, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a 14% gain for them. That's just sorry, that is about 17 of the constituencies. So Labour on 23, which again sees them take an absolute drubbing, losing 21%, that is. But the good news is the Greens aren't too far behind Labour. 18%, just 5% behind. Did do very well in the locals as well. And gaining 10%, so still very strong gains on a national level. Of course, too. Reform are still on the wane. The Greens have been sort of treading water a bit recently, but overall still on the up, so reasons to be positive. But save the best for last. And we saw that 16 to 21 poll on the last stream. Here's another from the 18 to 24 bracket. And look at this. 17% surge for the Greens, taking them up to 35. So hope is kindled in the dreams of the young, I guess. And the 16 to 21 bracket, of course, was still even higher than that. So please, 16 to 24-year-olds, get out and vote. Make something happen. Because it has happened in the past, where parties have polled well under Labour. I recall, of course, the 2019 election, Labour under Corbyn, and whilst polling very well amongst younger voters and student demographics, for example, the turnout was actually quite low compared to what was expected. So get out there and turn this 35%. And what was the other one? It was like almost half. Make it happen. And I was sort of going to go through the latest news feed coming in from Belfast. As I said, there have been confrontations with the police. Did it say 2024 general election on the... Sorry, I didn't notice that one. Maybe it did, maybe it was a typo. I didn't type it, apologies if there was one. But instead of just back to Belfast. Got a short clip from Beeb explaining what's been happening recently. For anybody who's not in the UK. Let's see what's happening.
Houses and vehicles have been torched in Belfast overnight. Houses and vehicles have been torched in Belfast overnight. Some families have fled their homes after a number of demonstrations turned violent.
The protests followed a knife attack in the north of the city, which left a man seriously injured in
Say riots, not demonstrations.
hospital. A Sudanese man has been charged with attempted murder and is due to appear in court today. Dan Johnson reports.
This is what a small minority of people in Belfast considered
bit of buffering here for the first time on the stream. Sorry about this. One sec. Just be a very quick moment. Right, sorry about the brief delay there.
This is what a small minority of people in Belfast considered the best response to a serious stabbing. Homes were targeted and burned. Families had to be led to safety through the flames, rescued by emergency services, risking their lives in the most dangerous situation. It's what the authorities feared all day, what they warned against and pleaded not to see. The condemnation came quickly and was widespread.
Driving people from their homes, attacking their property, attacking the police themselves is not acceptable and is not excusable in any circumstance. And I would appeal to people that there's nothing that they are doing now which is going to help the gentleman who was so grievously injured. He has had life-altering injuries and is now in hospital. There's nothing that they are doing that is either helping him or his family.
It wasn't just homes. Cars were also torched by young masked men in these predominantly unionist streets. but the target here was immigrants. And the message to entirely innocent families was, you're not welcome.
Yeah, but that didn't stop them burning down people who were born in Belfast's houses and properties.
North of the city.
It's just disgusting. This is really worrying. This is really worrying. What's happening in UK society.
More people were forced to flee, including an African family who've lived here for 20 years. Northern Ireland's First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, said in a statement, groups of masked men burning families out of their homes is nothing less than disgusting cowardice. This has nothing to do with community, she said. This is outright thuggery.
Well, it is, and it's, you know, could you call them pogroms? What's the difference, really, in terms of the intent, in terms of the demographics of the people who are being targeted as well? It's very difficult to argue that there's any difference between this and that. Shameful behaviour. Because that's it with the far right, they don't need much excuse to get out there and do this. Very open to waving facts aside just to suit their own violent agenda. And it is always a violent agenda. That's what it always comes down to. But they certainly seem to overlook certain cases, as I said, bringing up. Recently, a grooming gang of 21 people, men and women, were convicted. And we haven't heard a peep from Nigel Farage. We haven't seen these kind of demonstrations as a consequence of those. And could that possibly be because the people convicted of those heinous crimes were in fact white, as was Alina Burns, 19 years old, who last month was jailed for trying to kill a Kurdish man in Bristol with an axe. This is an obsessed neo-fascist. I can't say that word on stream. She said she wanted to, quote, kill all Jews and Muslims. As clear an anti-Semitic statement as you can possibly make. Of course. And she attacked a barber outside his shop with an axe. Didn't hear any mention of that again. Where was the outcry? Where was the outrage? The pure cold rage? Complete silence. And good point, Andy. Yeah, a lot of these things happen after a conviction, which denotes that justice has already been served, so... I guess in a lot of cases, it'll be that it's the first time that these people will have heard of what's happened. This isn't providing any legitimisation or excuse, bear in mind. But recently, especially where Southampton's concerned, again the blame lies at the feet of Nigel Farage. Because instead of saying justice has been served and now we can all go on to live peaceful lives, he clearly and very blatantly ignored the requests of the family with appalling consequences. Can't stand the man. And speaking of hate, trying to do as smooth a segue as I can into the next item. In my own particular
Idiom, sir? Idiom!
Idiom. Of course, today was the debut of We the Hated, the film about Just Stop Oil, and the action phases, which began in 2022, when yours truly was out on the 6-week action phase. Both showings at the Lyceum Theatre and the Showroom Cinema were this evening at 7 PM. The showing tomorrow is sold out, but there is still another chance to catch it on the 14th of June. That's an early morning showing at 10 AM. So do catch it if you can. It's made by Richard Felgate, who's a friend of mine, and yeah, a great documentary maker. Really nice guy as well. So I'm not certain if or how much I might be in it, or actions that I've done or whatnot, but we'll see. Unfortunately, yeah, I've not been able to make the debut showing tonight, obviously, not just got back from South Yorkshire. Yeah, so for more information about that showing at the Light on the 14th, go to chefdocfest.com. For We the Hated, that's the Just Stop Oil movie, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be quite surreal, because there's certainly going to be, obviously, whilst I was on the action phase for most of the 6 weeks in 22, and then the following action phase in spring of 23, I can all be in one place at once, so I'll be finding out more about actions that I didn't do or wasn't present at, even though I might have seen a few snippets of footage here and there. Yeah, really looking forward to things like that. Obviously, a lot of people who I know did those actions, and it's going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane as well, so. Just time for another shout out to all the members on the channel. Stick around, actually, people. We've got some new shenanigans, post credits, I guess, worth sticking around for channel nerds, or just fans of general quality entertainment, of course. Speaking of quality, here's some awesome people who you can see on your screen. John Lennon's left now. You can't introduce the members roster, and we're on 1, 2, 3 now, of course. 123 towards the target of 250. Thank you very much for all your contributions, all of your super chats, super thanks. People who've bought us coffees from the Buy Me a Coffee page as well. Really do appreciate the generosity. Nice to see Jonathan Lemon wrestling show amongst recent people who've renewed the memberships as well, and it's just 99 pence if you want to join. Just 99 pence for a month's membership. Check out the perks. And after the quality updated post-credits shenanigans, we'll be heading into another socialist channel. Hopefully, let's see if any comrades are around as we get towards the end of proceedings here.
And I'm getting quite near the end now of this analysis.
A final chance to vote in the poll, of course, which will be ending momentarily as well, but it does look like a healthy lead for Count Binface, who I'm going to, not preemptively, but going to declare the winner, I guess. Looks like a healthy lead on 75% of the votes. Like I said, we'll at least get that element of entertainment from the by-election. Graham, thanks for the super chat. You're very welcome for the stream. Why do we put ourselves through this torture? Well, I guess as politics nerds, sociologists, I guess you have to, really. It can be painful keeping your finger on the pulse of politics, especially with PMQs. But it also reminds us of why we need system change at a parliamentary level as well. Regular viewers will know, of course, that I'm all for a House of the People, a Citizens' House, Citizens' Assembly, whatever you might choose to call it. Out with the House of Lords, and in with something a lot more representative. Of course, I also back PR as a replacement for first past the post. So we're going to stream into Kev Logan. Yeah, I think we went into Helena last time, so we'll go into Kev. Because they're often in conversation together, as they are this evening, by the look of things. Thanks again for that super chat, Graham. Let's please big up Graham in the chat, everybody. Just before we leave, I'll be back with more streams later in the week, of course, so hit the notification button to make sure that you don't miss out. But thank you for your cordiality and presence in the chat, as well as your attendance here on the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I've been your humble host, Lefty. Power to the people, free Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan and Yemen. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Don't watch the news, be the news. On my left eye, will be seeing you very soon. Good night, Solidarity.
If Raquel Walsh doesn't want to stay in a Trust House Forte, we'll stick her in a youth hostel, see if she likes that.
Forgive me if I don't take too much notice of the Leader of the Opposition. For 14 years, they broke our welfare system, lost control of our borders, presided over the biggest fall in living standards on record, broke the economy, prisons, the NHS. I could go on and on. No wonder she and they are totally irrelevant. The change delivered by this Labour government, the biggest upgrade in workers' rights in a generation, delivered. Renters' Rights Act, delivered. Record funding for our NHS, delivered. The fastest growing economy in the G7.